there was a founder that I'd been like emailing and talking to for like a little bit, but he wasn't really biting, and I knew it was an awesome company.
It's so funny to hear you say that you were pitching an investor, a
Yeah.
founder, and the founder wasn't biting. Because
And
how many years did you spend feeling the exact opposite? If you notice a theme here, like I just want everyone to know that like this is a reciprocal two-way street here. Okay, so you're trying to reach this founder, wasn't biting. Ryan Musto, we know each other well. Startup founder, sold the company. It was fine. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, decided you wanted to be a VC. I know you spent years battling with VCs. Why did you want to be a VC after that nightmare?
Oh, it's such a good question. And there are so many people that do it, switch from one side of the table to the other.
Because the grass is always greener.
It's always greener. I think the primary reason that I wanted to do it was because when you're a founder, you get like so deep in the weeds with a particular customer, with a particular segment, with a particular product, et cetera,
yeah.
that by the time you're done with it, you're just like sick and tired of that fucking space.
Okay.
and
so like, do you think any of that has to do with the fact that you basically did a startup right out of school?
Partially.
And you maybe didn't have that time to explore all the different career paths you could have?
I think that's a very fair fair response.
Yeah.
I do think generally speaking though, when you spend so much of your life obsessing over a very particular space, there's a desire to implement the same level of curiosity and depth that you spent in one place across like a whole swath of places, if that makes sense.
So that's what was motivating you to...
Oh, for sure.
Right. So how did you find a VC job? Because people want to get into VC and it's just like not easy to break into. And the entry-level jobs are shitty and you have to wait forever and you never make partner.
It's objectively brutal.
Right.
Like objectively. And I feel like as a founder, like you mentioned, grass is always greener.
Yeah.
I think founders always think like, oh, it'd be so sick to be in VC. Like, it's going to be so easy once I sell my company or once whatever happens after this business. It's actually really hard. And anybody who's like tried to get in VC knows that. The process, not to belabor too much on this point, is truly ridiculous, right? There is no central place to go to find these jobs. Most of them are never listed. The recruitment process is not standardized by any means. In fact, it's generally just a series of like coffee chats and conversations that ultimately result in a job.
So let's be specific. Like, what did you do? So like you were freed of your shackles. You're like, I want to be a VC now.
I hit up most of the folks that I had become friends with over the process of starting.
So you always kind of had a social...
You always have to be friends. When I was a founder, I always took a lot of pride in the idea that like I can actually become friends with these VCs and step out of the confines of the very strict, like, I'm going to give you my 5-minute intro and then you're going to give me your 2-minute intro and then you're going to ask me a series of questions and I'm going to answer and that's going to be it and we're going to exchange some emails and then you're going to invest money or not, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's so important to get to know them very well.
Right.
The same goes when you're on the VC side of things. Like, I want to be boys, for lack of a better term, with the founders.
Okay, just spare me the comments on the gender specifics of that.
Of course,
it's just the way people talk.
Yeah.
But okay.
And so when my time as a founder came to its conclusion, I was able to go through my Rolodex of folks that I trusted as good investors, thought asked me the best questions,
right.
and worked at firms that I respected a good deal, and was able to say to them, hey, like, what do you think I should do next? And
so you did like a career discovery conversation,
totally.
but was that like covert? Were you like,
well,
they always say like, if you want money, if you want a job, ask for advice. If you want advice, ask for a job.
Bingo.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So this was sneaky.
It was sneaky. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, there was an honest effort to like learn about if this is going to be a fit for me or not. But yeah, for sure. Right. Like, you go to folks, you ask them for advice, see if they're kind of vibing with you and if you're vibing with them, and either they will have some sort of opportunity for you or they'll know somebody else that will have some sort of opportunity for you. Something that I've always found is that the people that are able to find a job in VC are the ones that actually end up doing pretty well in VC.
Because there's that sort of a selection bias. Like, you don't know the counterfactual. Like, you don't know how well the ones who didn't get into VC would have done as VC.
Oh, that's a good point. But more so what I mean is the people that are able to break in through non-standardized processes. Some VCs have the bigger funds, right? Have like more IB or consulting-esque interview processes, right? And then there are
investment bank.
Exactly. And then there's the slew of like the gajillion other funds that are either smaller or more sectorally niche or more, just kind of on their own vibe that don't have standard processes. If you're able to get a job at those funds, you've proven that you're able to do the job of VC quite well. Because the job of VC, truthfully, is like autonomous networking with no structure, trying to find diamonds in a rough.
Okay, I want to talk about that because a thing that we talk a lot about on this channel is the power or the perceived power asymmetry between founders and VCs or any kind of angels, doesn't matter who, right? Because you're a founder, you've maybe never raised any money before, and you think that there's all these people like Scrooge McDuck sitting on piles of gold coins, hoarding them.
That's exactly what I thought.
Right. And like, why won't they just give me some of their gold coins? They're so mean to me, right? And but there's a million other founders. But what people don't realize is that if you're a VC, it's like the founders are sitting there sitting on piles of good ideas. And you have to find the ones that actually have enough good ideas and get a spot to invest in them. So it's like a marketplace, really. It's not a pitch process. It's a marketplace.
That's entirely right. I mean, if you put yourself, and I didn't realize this until I was on this other side of the table, but when I came over here on the VC side, I realized a big part of my job when I go on these pitches is trying to really impress the founder. Because there's a competitive dynamic that exists where there are so many great funds out there across each and every different sector, each and every different stage. It's such a competitive environment on our end that to find and invest in the best startups, we have to be hungry and fighting for allocation. So
explain what you mean by that.
Yeah. So, great founders, great startups, even if in the beginning, after those first 20 pitches, they're not getting the investment traction that they want.
Very few do,
Nobody does. At some point or another, maybe at somewhere between pitch 50 and pitch 150, you're going to start filling up your round, and it's going to happen pretty quickly, kind of like snowballs. At that point, there are going to be a whole bunch of guys and gals like me fighting for the remaining allocation in your round,
because you only have so much that you're willing to take at a certain valuation, because you get diluted, right?
And so my job is in those 30-minute conversations, whether they're on Zoom or on a phone call or in person, to genuinely make a connection with you as a founder and ask a couple good questions, not only for my own benefit so that I can inform my investment process, so that I can show you I know something about what you're doing, and I'm not just asking you the classic 10 questions that every single VC asks. When a founder looks at me and says, in response to one of my questions, "Oh, that's actually a really good question. I haven't heard that before." Nothing fires me up more. Really, because it means that okay, I am providing some sort of novelty and a unique perspective, which down the line might prove enormously valuable to that founder, because now I'm on their team. Whenever I give advice to either founders that are exited or failed or whatever, that are trying to make the transition into venture, I always say your superpower is the fact that you founded a company and know how shitty it is to have to pitch 1 million times to a VC. When you ultimately get that job on the VC side of things, please remember that, and please have that human dignity and empathy, and relay that over to the other side.
So last question about this. Do you find that being young or under 30, which is young as VCs go, well, anyone VC, well, you have, you can sponsor a deal, right? Right. I don't even think, we didn't do an intro. Who are you with? Which one?
Alumni Ventures.
Right. It'll be in the Chiron.
Seed through Series B. We're generalist funds. We're big funds, up 2 billion AUM. I focus though.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll talk about your focus. First thing I want to do is, as a younger VC, it sounds like you're saying it could be an advantage, especially with a younger founder, that you can empathize with them. You're not some gray hair like me sitting there scowling at you. So Give me an example of like, can you give me a specific example of like a founder, you don't have to name them, where like, and I'm not talking about like broing it up. I'm talking about like you were actually talking about the business in a way that being younger and having been a founder actually gave you a leg up in getting in on a deal that you maybe wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah. So there's a great example, I think. I won't name the company, but it's an awesome company, one of my most exciting ones yet, that happened in the fall. I flew out to LA for LA Tech Week. I spent a lot of time in like hard tech, defense tech. LA is kind of the center of this world. And there was a founder that I'd been like emailing and talking to for like a little bit, but he wasn't really biting, and I knew it was an awesome company.
It's so funny to hear you say that you were pitching an investor, a founder, and the founder wasn't biting. Because how many years did you spend feeling the exact opposite? If you notice a theme here, like I just want everyone to know that like this is a reciprocal two-way street here. Okay, so you're trying to reach this founder, wasn't biting,
and he wasn't biting. I finally get to LA, and I hit him up, and I just said, "Hey man, I'm in LA. I would love to just like hang out for 30 minutes, like." Don't worry, you don't have to leave anywhere. Like, I'll come to your factory. I'll just like.
Did you worry about feeling thirsty?
You know, like
you got to get over that. You just got to do it.
You just got to have a feel of confidence. So I show up at their headquarters in Hawthorne, and I just like started walking around with him. Like he was doing like his job. This is a hard tech.
You were just shadowing him.
So like he's running around the work floor, and he has. His wonderful team running around all over the place, and he's giving orders and directions. And literally, when I arrived, he had to take off the work gloves and everything. And there was no like pitch. It was just us walking around talking. Right. We didn't even talk about the business that much. Honestly, we were talking about like our lives and how's LA and how's New York and what's new and blah blah. Blah.
And then if
a couple years younger than me,
if there's an option to bring you in, and in the absence of a specific reason he can't.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to be on his list, right?
And at the end of the conversation, we found our way to a conference room and sat down, and then actually started getting kind of into I had some questions, and I had some answers, and he asked me some questions. But we had already built like a good rapport just over the past 20 minutes, just hanging out. And so I just said, hey, listen, like I like what you're doing. I don't know if you like what we can provide as a fund, but if you do, hit me up. We would love to like have a conversation about investing. And a couple hours later, he shot me a text, and now we're in the deal. So
nice.
There's something about being, I was 27 now I'm 28. Yeah, very excited.
I was trying to give you under 30s. So you didn't have to get
he's I don't know, something like 24, 25, 26, something like that. Not that I have maybe an advantage.
You were when you started your company, right?
I like to think that the fact that I come from the same universe as him was something that was pretty helpful in the ability to create a rapport.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a question about something that I've been talking a lot and writing a lot about lately, newsletter, LinkedIn, and things like that, but I'm not going to plant the answer.
Yeah.
How often do founders ask questions of you? Non-obvious questions. So it's not like at the end of a job interview, they say, do you have any questions for us? I say, well, what my exact responsibility? What does a day look like here, right? Like actually ask, how often do they ask you meaningful questions?
Very rarely.
Yeah.
When they do ask me a good question over the course of the conversation, and I like to call them conversations because in an ideal sense, it's not like
Q&A, it shouldn't be a grilling.
Yeah, it's not like a pitch, he has his part or she has her part and I have my part. Like I'm just trying to get to know you. They're just trying to get to me. This is a marriage, right? Like if this goes well, like we're going to be together for a long time and try to bring this thing to success. But when one of those founders does ask me a good question, it shows enormous confidence. It shows that they know what they're talking about because they've realized that this isn't an audition, right? This is a true search for compatibility and partnership. It also shows that they're experienced, right? Rarely do first-time founders ever hit me with a question that actually strikes any sort of a chord.
What's a good question?
That's a good question.
I know. I'm a professional question asker.
Yeah, well, there you go. Good questions usually honestly relate to my background and why I'm doing specifically what I'm doing and why I'm spending time in that space. What's the broader thesis that I'm building as an investor? How does that play into the broader thesis of the fund. Those sorts of
people think they will be viewed as impertinent or impolite if they ask about.
No, that's like
why do you invest in what you invest in?
This is like my life's work.
What's your check size? Like they'll go down the garden path with you, thinking they're going to get a check of a certain type, or that you lead or you don't lead or whatever it is, and they could have asked you in the first meeting.
Totally.
And they don't bother to.
And I'm like thrilled when I get someone who's like, hey, I read your Substack, which is America Assembled, by the way. Check it out.
We'll put it
I don't have that many articles, but I don't know. I spend
the ones that are up there are really good.
I spend a good deal of time like thinking about this material and these places that I like want to like really dive into.
Yeah. And
when a founder says to me like, hey, I read this, I actually disagree with this point, or I really agree with this point. Like, why are you spending time?
So if you can geek out with someone, it's not just like that they if they read your essay not because they were kissing your ass or just preparing, but because they seem organically interested in the kinds of things you talk about and have a point of view.
That's why I'm right. That is why I'm doing this. Right. Is to find people that I can just like nerd out with, and build something with.
And that's it's really the reason that like you as a founder can't be just a pitch robot. And you as an investor can't just be Scrooge McDuck, taking applications for your money. Right. It just doesn't work like that. Let me run by you a question that I've been advising people to ask for a long time. And people do not take my advice because it is just
everybody should take his advice.
I've
taken your advice for many years.
It's hard advice to take. I tend to recommend if the vibe is right, asking an investor at the end of the first meeting, without sounding like a used car salesperson, based on what you heard today, what's your level of interest in this opportunity?
Great question. Yeah, I
has anyone ever asked that? Has anyone ever asked
very rarely.
Okay,
it's a blessing when they do. Because by the end of 30 minutes, generally I have a sense of like, okay, I want to go deeper. This is something I am going to begin doing more diligence on and perhaps start actively selling into.
Right.
Or,
in fact, founders don't realize that's a scarcity too that you're allocating to them. Your time, your internal capital. Right.
I mean, I take dozens of pitches a week, right? Like I can't spend time on every single one of those businesses. So if I'm into it, like I'm into it and I want to go deeper and I want to spend time with you. For the other ones, it's kind of a blessing, right? Because quick no's are what I'm looking for and what a founder should be looking for. Nobody wants to waste time.
Will you say a quick no if you're
totally?
Sure?
If someone asks me, and even sometimes if they don't ask me, and it's just like really clear to me that hey, this is a really nice person. They're busting their butt to like make this happen, but like this is not going to work. I will. In fact, that happened today. I was on a pitch and I came to the end of the pitch and I was like, hey, so-and-so, this was awesome. I'll be honest, like 1, 2, 3, here are the reasons that like this is not going to be a fit for us. We'd love to stay in touch. Maybe things will change. Maybe the direction will pivot into like this area, this world that like I'm a little bit more interested in. And if you do that, let me know. Otherwise, very happy to share with XYZ friend of mine who invests more closely along with you.
Don't, because very often what you're saying is very kind, but it's not always true.
It's not always true.
Sometimes the founder is just not the right founder,
or
just damaged in some way.
With this particular founder, there was good direction that I could send him, but I won't say that obviously if I don't have a genuine offer.
Right.
But when the founder asks me, back to your point of like, tell me the gauge of your interest level, and I'm able to kind of get that off my chest, either in a positive or a negative direction, it's a blessing.
But it flips the power dynamic. It doesn't flip it; it equalizes it to where it should be, which is a conversation between equals. Is that you're both here to evaluate an opportunity. And you both have opportunity costs, and if you're not interested in them, or vice versa, like shake hands, park friends, and move on because we have other deals to look at.
And it took me a long time as a founder to really like truly believe this. But as a founder, you have to believe that what you're building is the thing that will make me as a venture capitalist super rich, right? Like it is, and not to sound egotistical, but like as a founder, right? You got to really believe, like,
the point you need the conviction, which
You
is the
have to
crazy
believe.
against all logic thing
Yeah.
that you can build
Like,
something better than
Yeah.
anyone has ever built
and
before.
I'm giving this guy Ryan the opportunity to hear about my company, and if he invests, his fund is gonna
He
prosper.
should thank me. He should thank me. He should thank me. Right.
And if he says no, screw him. Right? Like, it's that sort of not and don't get crazy.
There's
with
a little bit of cocky. Like, I don't know if
It's
there's
important.
one of the patterns I find between the ERA accelerator founders is like they're all a little crazy and a little cocky.
I mean, you have to be crazy to do this. This is a crazy. I always have so much respect for every founder I talk to, really, because like it is crazy.
Yeah,
you're foregoing money. I mean, all these people are brilliant in their own ways, right? They could make a lot of money and have a lot of stability in their life doing something else somewhere else.
Yeah,
but are deciding to take an enormous leap of faith in this beautiful American capitalist innovative system. They're like cowboys out there. It's pretty cool. So it's always, I mean,
okay, I have one more little chain of questions I want to ask. So when you got into your fund, you made, I alluded to this, a non-traditional choice, which is instead of being a generalist and taking any scraps of deals that were thrown your way, you decided to become an expert in something. And not just a little bit, like you dove all in.
Yeah.
Tell me about the decision to do that, how you chose what to become an expert in, and then how you did it.
Yeah. So little backstory, like the startup that I worked in, as you know, was kind of at the corner of like fintech, prop tech, built world sort of technology, which is a space that I really enjoyed getting to know. And like I said at the onset, like diving super into.
Yeah.
But by the time I had made the transition over to VC, I was ready to start exploring new spaces. And I had a lot of battle scars in that space, honestly. You don't want to have too many battle scars in it.
I had a lot of battle scars from your space as well. So okay.
Yeah. I mean, you learn about a space, you only start seeing the bad in different companies, which is not a good thing for an early stage investor. You need to have a certain degree of innocence and optimism to like actually be able to invest in a business. So I took a long, hard look at not only the investing ecosystem and the different tailwinds and headwinds that existed, but actually places where I could have a disproportionate influence or a disproportionate value, right? My background before jumping in the startup world was really centered on politics, international relations, specifically the Middle East, fluent Arabic speaker, and defense, national security, these sorts of things. And this was early 2024 when I came onto the venture side of things. I started doing a lot of research about how the traditional defense primes were starting to feel pressure from startups that were starting to grow in through the defense space. I started reading about how the Department of Defense was starting to change, at least in early stages, its appropriations processes. And I started, of course, thinking about the geopolitical headwinds or tailwinds or whatever you want to call it that currently exist, and the need for the United States and for our partners across the West to start really reindustrializing. And it became pretty clear to me that defense and advanced manufacturing and robotics and supply chains and logistics, all these things that we broadly categorize as like national interest tech, right? We're clearly going to expand over the next decade.
So you picked one of the largest and one of the growingest markets, which is like investment 101.
And I just spent all of my time talking to those companies, right? I
not just startups or startups.
Everything.
Up and down.
Everything. I talked to every investor who would talk to me who had already spent time in that space, talked to a ton of academics.
This is before you had the job or once you got the job?
Before and while in the beginning, right?
So do you think that was part of how you got such a good job so early?
I think so. I would certainly talk about it on interviews, right? Make clear to folks that, like, listen, here's my background. You always want to have like a major and minor when you're an investor, right? Like, and at that point, I was majoring in, fintech, prop tech, but my minor, and soon it became my major, was, hey, I'm spending a lot of time thesis building in defense tech, and I can talk about this because I was talking to great investors in the space, great academics in the space, and I was talking to as many startups as I possibly could talk to. There was literally not a defense tech startup that I would turn down a call to. And even to this day, if you're a defense tech startup out there, like, hit me up.
Call them,
I will talk to you no matter what you're doing. Like, and that's the only way to learn, right? And Now, 2 years into it, you know, in the beginning, it's a little bit of kind of fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
But now I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it's been a magical journey of really learning about a fast growing market that, you know, I'm lucky. I'm kind of riding a wave here.
Great. If folks watching, optimistically,
please.
Optimistically, if anyone's watching, if anyone who's watching wants to reach you, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Hit me up on LinkedIn. I always accept LinkedIn requests and messages. Don't make it too long. Make it like short, sweet, and I'll boom, jump right in. Or email ryan.musto, musto @av.vc.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Of course. Anytime.